Today, I'm going to do you a big favor because there's a place on the market farming map where most farms go to die. And I'm going to help you avoid that place because it's really scary. It's not the farms that are too big, it's not the farms that are too small, it's the ones in the middle. I spent 10 years talking to farmers, visiting farms, interviewing them, and running a business that sells to farmers. And this pattern shows up so often, I can almost predict it. Today, I want to show you the pattern and I want to show you how to make sure you're not stuck in no man's land in the middle on Diego. Welcome to Modern Grower, where we talk about building a profitable farm business, not just a farm. Let's get into it. I want to start with what everyone is told. More land, more tractors, more accounts, more staff means more money. But like Notorious B.I.G. said, more money, more problems. Unfortunately, Biggie was right, and the conversation around ag has been wrong all along because the cultural script in America is small farms need to get big. And it's not crazy because in commodity ag, more land does actually mean more money. And that's how corn and soy works. Buy bigger tractors, rent more ground, put more seeds in the ground, sell more. The problem is when you take that script and bring it into market farming, it's all wrong. It doesn't work. Because in market farming, we're talking totally different math here. And farms that try and live by that are the ones that try and grow their way to profitability by adding acres, by adding beds. And those are the ones that often struggle. Why? They don't struggle because they're farming wrong. They often struggle because they're farming in the wrong place on the business curve. Here's the curve. On one side, if you're under an acre, sometimes under half an acre, direct sales, high margin per unit. On the other side, that's 50 acres, 100 acres, wholesale, commodity scale advantage, lower margin, but you're moving a lot of units of very few crops. And in the middle, 5 acres, 10 acres, mixed vegetables, a farmer's market plus a couple of restaurants, maybe a CSA. That middle is where farms die. Before I go any further, it doesn't mean there aren't successful farms in the middle. There are, but for most people looking to become a market gardener, they will struggle in the middle. They're better starting at the small side. There are people doing it in the middle. And if you're going to go there, you better go work for them and really learn their model before you jump in because it's really hard. And I give them a lot of credit for being successful. And you can't assume it's easy. So be careful jumping in there. When I would talk to farmers, this started to become obvious. People going bigger were struggling. You start hearing the same story. They started small, they got good, they scaled up, they added crew, they added markets, and somewhere along the lines, they stalled. And the stall didn't look like failure, it looked like exhaustion. It looked like cash flow problems. It looked like you could just never get ahead. It was a farmer named Liz Calvelage who actually gave the pattern a name. Liz is a flower farmer and grower in Pennsylvania. I had her on Carrot Cash Flow number 36. And before she started her own operation, she worked for 3 different farms. All 3 were 8 to 10 acres in size, mixed vegetables, diversified market gardening. And by the time Liz started doing her own thing, 2 of those 3 farmers had quit farming entirely. Why? They were discouraged. And Liz noticed something.
I do think that there may be a no man's land in terms of acreage.
No man's land. The phrase stuck with me because once she named it, I started seeing it everywhere. And here's what Liz figured out about why the middle dies. 10 acres of mixed vegetable farms sell at roughly the same price point as a half-acre farm. Farmers markets, restaurants, maybe a CSA, direct-ish channels, same buyer, same pricing, but the 10-acre farm has more equipment, a crew, a delivery vehicle, all that insurance, more costs, and it doesn't have the scale advantage of a 50-acre farm or a 100-acre farm. So you're trying to grow like a big farm, but your pricing is the size of a small farm, yet your costs are higher than a lot of small farms. It just doesn't work. So, same price as small, more cost than small, no scale of big. It's a trap. So, who's actually winning? Who's farming on this curve and coming out the other side with margin? I'll show you my thoughts on this, and keep in mind there are always exceptions to the rule. Proof point one, Ben Hartman. This is the interview that prompted this whole video. Ben is going into its 20th growing season. He wrote the book, The Lean Farm, and his trajectory tells the whole story on one line. He started on a 1,000-acre corn and soy farm. That's where he grew up with his family. He went down to 2 acres of market vegetables. And today, he's on just 15,000 square feet. That's about a third of an acre. And his margin on his crops right now is the highest that it's ever been in his entire career. Same volume that he sold for 8 to 10 years, higher margin every season. He's not growing more, he's making more on what he sells. Read that again. Ben got smaller. His business got more profitable. That's the tiny end of the curve doing its job. Proof point two, Broxonberry Farm. That's a husband and wife operation. I interviewed them on Carrot Cashflow 31 and 39. They farm zero point 0.4 acres, 0.4 acres, less than half an acre. And they built that operation past $80,000 a year in sales, and they keep climbing towards 6 figures. And here's what they told me when I asked about expanding towards land. We're doing all of this without actually increasing the amount of land. We just keep dialing in how to be more efficient every year. This is the moment that I decided to give this paradox a name. I'm a big believer in this big land mirage theory, I'll call it. The big land mirage. The idea that more land would fix what's actually a margin problem, a customer problem, or an efficiency problem. It almost never does. Different farmers, different states, different operations. None of them have over a half an acre in production. All of them are profitable. All of them are growing not by adding land, but going deeper in the land that they already have. And that's the tip. This isn't to say that you shouldn't farm an acre or an acre and a half or 2 acres. The idea here, the underlying principle is get good at growing on the land that you have. Maximize your margin in your production on the land that you actually have before adding more. Don't just think you have to add more beds and play that card. Instead, play the productivity card to try and get more out of what you have before adding more to what you already have. Now I'm going to show you the other side of the curve briefly, because I don't want to leave the impression that farming small is the only answer. For a lot of people, though, watching this channel, it is. There are big profitable farms. They exist. I've talked to them, but they're playing a different game. Wholesale distribution, commodity pricing, scale on equipment, scale on labor system. If that's your game, that's a real path. Noah Poulos, I've interviewed on Carrot Cashflow, is one example of this. But this is not a path you ease into. You don't accidentally become a 50-acre farm or a 15-acre farm. You have to really go in knowing what you're doing with intentionality. You commit to it. You're buying major equipment. You're building relationships. You're hiring a big staff. You have management. This is a totally different business model than something that somebody wants to start on land that they own with their husband or wife. And a lot of people who get into the middle, I often wonder, do they choose it? Or did they end up just getting stuck there? Another video for. So here's a big question. One that I think will help predict your farm survival. Where on the curve are you? And is that a deliberate choice or a default one? There are three honest answers. Answer one, stay tiny and concentrate. This is the Ben Hartman path, the Broxon path. Your cap on land is an acre, and you deep dive into your crops, your productivity, your customer base, and you try and compound efficiency year after year, 5% at a time. This is the path that most market gardeners follow, and most people watching this channel should probably do it. But people want to scale up, and that's where they get into trouble. So if you do scale up, that's answer number two. You scale up deliberately. This means a completely different business model. You now have to think, who am I selling all this stuff to? That's wholesale, that's distribution. It's a real crew, it's real equipment, real margins per unit. They're much smaller, but you're moving serious volume. I think it starts to step away from what market gardening is. It's something else. It's a legitimate path, but you have to commit to it. You can't half step it. Now, if you're struggling with your business and thinking that you need to add land, that's really answer three. I would say, why? Be careful. Why are you doing it? Do you think by growing more, you can make more money? Because there's a lot of questions you need to look at. Otherwise, what's your pricing look like? What's your productivity look like? Are you selling everything you grow already? So be careful of it. Don't just scale because you think that it will help the business. Oftentimes, scaling will hurt the business. Don't get into no man's land. The move is not to add more land. The move is to subtract until you're back in tiny territory and just max that out. Growth doesn't mean adding more land. It means going deeper on the land that you already have. The farms that I've watched succeed aren't the ones who keep getting bigger. They're the ones that pick a spot on the curve and stay there. More isn't the strategy. Choice is the strategy. Now use that to go build a farm business, not just a farm. I'm Diego, Diego. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.